Welcome back to A Drop of Happy, the podcast arm to my blog, lightevi.com, LITEVI.com, where we focus on carefree, stress well, light and lively living while loving and reviewing entertainment art tidbits. And I don't know if I have no idea what I'm going to do in the next couple of weeks, but I know that I went to see the Book of Clarence and I want to talk about it. It was released yesterday, actually the 12th, and I went to see it on, what day is today? Saturday? I went to see it on Saturday. So, I was not ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for the Book of Clarence. I wasn't sure what to expect because first of all, I didn't watch like a whole bunch of previews. I've been going to the theater, so I just watched what was there. So I've seen a couple, but it's been the same. And I did not get much from the previews besides Clarence being a fake Jesus. That's all I got. But I was compelled to see it because one, all that melanin, yes, all that beautiful melanin. How can I not, right? And two, the cast is an absolutely phenomenal ensemble of actors. So I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go see it. I really don't know what this is about, but I'm going to go see it. I did expect it to be like a full-on comedy. That's what I thought it was going to be. And although it had comedic elements, the Book of Clarence was so much more than just comedy. Christians, at least the reasonable ones, I don't think y'all going to be offended. And atheists, this might not be the one for you. But then again, you're used to things surrounding religion. So if you take it for fiction and don't get bothered by the fact that by some of the stuff in there, then you'll be good. But ultimately might not be the one for you. Now, not knowing what I was getting into kind of tempered my expectations a little bit because I was like, I don't know. I was open to kind of anything, right? I expected the acting to be top notch because, again, like, hello, the listing, and I think I'm gonna butcher some names, but I'm gonna try. Lakeith Stanfield was such a delight to watch. Like, he stars as the lead, and he stars as Clarence, who basically doesn't believe for 1 second that Jesus is the Messiah. Not only doesn't he believe that Jesus is the Messiah, he don't believe at all, which, like, is not that difficult to get, right? The Book of Clarence is basically about a regular dude who wants to be more. He wants to be more. He wants to be more for his family. Honestly, this could be any of us. Like, you just want to be better and you want to be more and you want to get your family out of the situation. You want a better life for them and you want to be able to provide that. He's that dude. It's basically set during the time that Jesus was prophesying and going around with his disciples and was about to get crucified and all that. And Clarence decides that, shoot, Jesus is over here fooling people. I can do that too. I can fool people too. I can do it just as good as Jesus can. And with the support of his friends, he kind of does just that. So rounding out the cast are RJ Seiler. Here we go. I'm so sorry. I really need to do better with these names, but I'll be doing stuff on a whim. David Oyelowo, Tiana Taylor, which, y'all, she did such a good job. Jay McAvoy, Benedict Cumberbatch, Caleb McLaughlin, which really throws me that he has such an Irish name and he's like blickety black. And He looks like he looks so grown and so different because he's the black kid in Stranger Things. And I know Stranger Things been playing for a while, but I still see him. This is what happens when you start to get older. Because no matter what, you still see the people as like the little child that they started out. But he looks really like he looked good in the sense he looked grown, like with a yeah, it was throwing me. It was throwing me. Nicholas Pinnock and Diop, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, I could say that, and Alfre Woodard. Just to name a few. Like those are like, you know, the top. But it was so beautiful. There was so many people up in there. So there's no way with that. I was like, no, I'm not passing this. I'm not passing this up. I'm going to see this. Again, the acting was very well executed. It was like, there was like not at any point where I thought, oh, the acting kind of sucks. Oh, you can kind of do better. Oh, no, not at any point did I think that of this. It never even crossed my mind. And you know, it had like a whole bunch of my favorite things. It had, satire, sarcasm, realism, comedy, romance, and heart. Like it had the pacing and the setting were just right. The cinematography to me also was just right. It wasn't like anything over the top, and it didn't need to be over the top. It also like provided, to me, it gave an essence of that time period with a little touch of modernization, which I felt like that's what they were going for. At least that's the feel that I got. And like, I feel like it was intentionally done. The writing and the way that they tied everything together, especially like some issues that we folks deal with in the present time, like they brought that back. It was, I just liked it. It was good. And if you can't tell by now, like the way, like I really enjoyed this movie. Really, really enjoyed it. And let me say, I really had to kind of like shift my mindset a little bit to kind of think about, how things were back then. And how they may have been during that time. Like, for example, crucifixion was not an uncommon thing. It was very common, right? They were as common as the different various means that we treat the death penalty today. Like, I mean, a lot of places don't do the electric chair anymore. But they used to be, you know, that wasn't a thing. Anyway, so there was the popular thing, right? Then I had to think that many people, like, Christianity wasn't what it was now. Christianity barely was a thing. Actually, it wasn't even called Christianity. So let's just go there. But mad people did not believe. And probably was just like, what? Am I supposed to believe this person walking around is talking about they the Messiah? Okay. So it wouldn't be far-fetched for people back then to be like, yeah, Jesus was a fake, and have copycats. I imagine that like a whole bunch of people did get killed because they appeared or they thought they might be the Messiah, just like, you know, allegedly, supposedly, all them babies were killed because one of them might be the baby Jesus. Well, why wouldn't they just, oh, you look like, are you him? I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill. Let's just round them up. So I'm like, well, that's probably not far-fetched, right? And also, it is a story. It is an imaginative take on a point in history. It's not like a historical, let me tell you what happened. That's not what it is. There's no real Book of Clarence, but it was just fun to watch. For me, it was fun to watch. So last year, I didn't write as many movie reviews as I could have because I was in school. But out of the ones that I wrote, and even like all the movies that I saw and that I did not write about, I didn't give much 10 out of 10s. From the reviews that I wrote, I gave 2 10 out of 10s. Just 2. And Although I'm not gonna lie, I can be very lenient with my ratings because again, a movie has to be like god awful, piss off, like just bad for me to tank it. Because I can always find something that I kind of enjoy out of most films, right? So my ratings usually, I would say a little lenient, but my tens, I feel like I'm stingy with my tens. Um, Over the past 3 years, I've written like 18 reviews. I've watched like so much more. I just hadn't written them, right? But out of 18, again, it was only two 10 out of 10s. The Book of Clarence is my first 10 out of 10 for 2024. Hey, we are kicking the year off strong. I don't know. I might not do another 10 out of 10. I don't know. Now, if you are stopping here because of this, because I'm about to go into spoilers, I'm really about to dig into some spoilers, and I'm about to talk, like, I just got so much more to say about this thing, okay? But if you're stopping here, thanks for listening. Share, spread, send it to some other folks. If you're listening, scroll through lightv.com. Again, LITEVI.com. That's V as in Victor, lightv.com. And I'm Light V, at Light V is on like most social media platforms. So feel free to check that out. So now, let's talk spoilers. Can we talk about Clarence? And it says Varinia, but I was saying Varnia. Verina, or I was saying Verina. Anyway, here's the thing that I found interesting about him, and particularly his relationship with Varinia. Varnia. You know, I'm gonna I just watched it, so you think I'd be getting her name right. Anyway, she already knew he was great. She knew he was more than he believed himself to be. But because he did not really believe in himself and therefore did not yet like accomplish anything that kind of demonstrates that he like was great, like he just hadn't accomplished much, especially from his words, from what he was saying. So they basically were, as far as the relationship's concerned, they were kind of like at an impasse as far as moving forward with the relationship. I mean, they technically weren't together, but she knew she liked him. Varnia knew that she cared for him, but also already knew that he kind of lacked self-confidence, right? And it's interesting when she went and talked to his mom to kind of discuss it because she was worried about him, blah, 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 blah. A fair discussion, right? She basically told her that you just need to accept him as is. Ma'am, I'm trying to tell you that your son is great and he over here acting like a knucklehead and I'm supposed to accept that? Like, I'm the one that's trying to get with him. So in this case, like his mom, it's chef's kiss that he was fine with him as he is, which is wonderful. But sometimes somebody else, they'll see like greatness in you and know that you're capable of more than what you're doing. And again, moms are wonderful, but they don't necessarily have the same expectations from their sons as a potential life mate would. That's kind of that. Do y'all get that? Do y'all get that? And I thought that was, it was just one of those little nuanced things that I picked up on in here, but it's like demonstrated so much, throughout time and throughout relationships, because sometimes like you have people in your life that they're like, no, you're good like this. And then there's other people like, nah, but you could do better. And if you're trying to roll with me, you got to do better. And honestly, Clarence was like plagued with people who did not expect more from him. But he was drawn to this chick who was not going to be the one to accept him as is. She was just like, nah, because what are you doing? Bro, what are you doing? I mean, I think the nice thing is he refused to quit. And even when others were just like, and his brother who loved him, but were consistently telling him that he basically you nothing and not going to amount to nothing. So basically, book one was like him. He was like a joke. It was basically the world laughing at him and telling him that you ain't shit. And I did love how the movie started off like that, like the start off. It was exciting and it was a really good intro. They were basically like, in a chariot race. It was Clarence, Elijah, and Mary Magdalene. And this was this was important and a really good way to kick off because it was like exciting. There was something happening. You weren't just like, boy, it didn't like lull you to sleep. But it was important because Clarence losing the race is kind of like the first domino to everything else happening. Because he loses the race, he's unable to pay Jedediah the Terrible back the money that he borrowed to race in the first place, because he was going to get a whole lot of money if he won. And to make matters worse, Jedediah is Varina's. Why does it rhyme with vagina? Okay, I'm focus. That's her older brother. So when he found out that he couldn't pay, he was like, oh, well, what's whatever. You got 29 days now. You had 30 days. This is the time you got to pay me the money or else you dead. The thing is, Clarence again is also dealing with his like whack ass brother who left his mama, Thomas. Thomas left so that he can be part of the 12 apostles. But Thomas like seems to have like a hate for his brother and spends most of the time demeaning him like every chance he gets. Clarence then visits John the Baptist to get baptized, thinking that will somehow help him with Jedediah, or at the very least, maybe he'll go to heaven, but Clarence don't even closely, remotely believe. He's so desperate that he even like humbles himself to go to Thomas and the apostles to be like, yo, let me be the 13th apostle, because he's just like, yo, nobody can touch Jesus. They be giving him money and stuff like that. And he's gonna, he'll have some level of protection. I mean, this of course is a huge issue because Clarence is a non-believer. Like Clarence is so numb. He's just like, yeah, okay, what's the gag? Like, I know y'all are on the gag. I know y'all be doing some tricks, some illusion. Like, what is it? Right. And he's also a weird dealer. He's like on the outskirts of the law. All right. And they judge him for it. And Judas looked like a little traitor too. They did a good job of casting him, but he challenges Clarence. He's like, well, shoot, maybe you could show us that you're about it, that you're just not a selfish ass. Go free the gladiators. They're slaves and they just be fighting. Go free them. So Clarence is like, bet. That's what I gotta do to be one of y'all? Bet. He goes to Asher the torturer and he's just like, yo, to clear your conscience, you should release the gladiators. And Asher's just like, bro, what, huh? We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because do you know how much money I get for these people? We're not going to do that. But if you can be homeboy, if you can be my guy, my big guy, my best gladiator, you can have him. Like, I will release him. Okay. So he's just like, bet, I'm going to do it. His name is, Barabbas. And wasn't he the one that got killed on the cross next to thing? I think he was next to Jesus. All right. So Clarence fights him and he wins. And first of all, that fight, I'm just like, oh shoot, Clarence can fight. Like he was holding his own. He was scrappy. And he was just like, yo, B was like, yo, you can fight. He's like, yeah, we have to learn. We have to already know how to fight in the streets for real. Okay. So, then Asher doesn't want to let, Barabbas go. But then, he lets him go, and then Barabbas pledges his loyalty, and now they're a little crew. It's him, Zeke, who drives the wagon, and Elijah, who's like the very best friend. So the four of them return to the apostles, and they still like, nah, you ain't never gonna be. So Thomas pulls him aside. He's just like, nah, you ain't never gonna be that. You ain't never gonna be an apostle. Like you're pathetic, blah, blah, blah. So he's just like, oh, bet. Okay. Bet. I'm going to do this too. So he goes to do this. So then he goes to visit Mary, right? And that whole scene is funny and cute. enjoyable. So after that, then he goes and they go smoke weed somewhere where they're actually really floating in the air. So I don't know what kind of weed or what kind of drug or what kind of whatever, but it's during that time that he gets the bright idea. He's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna be fake too. So wait, I got that switch. It was before that. Then he went and visited Mary, Jesus's mom. So then he's just like, bet we're gonna do it. So he's doing it, right? And he's making money and and he's faking him and the crew faking miracles and stuff like that. But then he starts talking about like what he's saying. He's like, I'm the new Messiah because ain't nothing to believe in. You just got to know the truth. So it's belief versus truth. So his message is belief versus truth. And truth is more important than belief. And that's why he's saying he's the new Messiah. So so I don't feel like he's like, I mean, he is doing the miracles. So that is kind of being foul and kind of being fake. But then I don't know, he gets a strike of consciousness. So instead of giving the money to Jedediah, he actually goes back to Asher and frees the gladiators. So he frees all the gladiators, and then he's like still trying to woo the girl, Varinia. And it's so cute. That whole little woo woo is really cute. I'm all for it. He does that. Then it like comes to a head because Jedediah is just like, yo, where's my money? There's some times where they get running with the Roman centurions and they're assholes, of course. They're blondes. They're white. And there's some scenes where it kind of crosses over there. It's like, well, let me see your papers. There was a situation that happened and they resemble you guys. So there was some cute little stuff like that. And then Benedict Cumberbatch is over there looking all jacked up and just, he just looks terrible, asking people for money and they like, get out my face, dude, get out my face. So anyway, fast forward, they reach a part where, Jedediah comes to get his money and the centurions come at the same time because Judas is just dropping down on everybody. If you acting like a Messiah, you getting, it's a wrap. So Judas told on the fake Messiah. Judas told on the real Messiah. Judas just out here just dropping all types of dime. Like, I don't care. So then they come for him and, they get into a little altercation. The guy that he saves, Barabbas, he's like, nah, you're not taking him to the centurions. He's like, nah, you're not taking him, whatever. They get into it and he almost dies, but he's immortal. So he's been saying that the whole time. And, he ends up getting away. Then Jedediah is just like, pause. I can't let you take this man. Like, I know we got our own problems, but he's a good dude. And I'll be damned if I let you take him. Oh, we're about to fight. It's about to be on and popping. But then they were just like, well, I'm going to kill your sister. And Clarence is not trying to hear that. So he goes. Anyway, fast forward. They cut into Jesus, who's being like, yeah. Judas is going to betray me. Like all that happens. Oh, and there's one scene where, and this is where Tiana Taylor did such a good job. Like they are about to stone her because, she's Mary Magdalene. They're about to stone her and Elijah, that's his real name. Elijah in the movie, he kind of has a thing for Mary. Like he's sweet on her. But anyway, he goes and he shields her while they start stoning her. Then Jesus comes and does this little miracle. The stones, like Matrix, the stones, like the bullets just stay in the air and then the stones drop. And then, that whole thing with him, cast the first stone, yada, yada, yada. That whole thing happens and Mary Magdalene goes. But when I tell you Tiana Taylor did that in that scene, when I tell you, like, she did a great job. So anyway, Elijah runs back to homeboy, to Clarence, to be like, yo, it's real. It happened. The miracle had like I saw Jesus do all this stuff. And he's still like, It's not real. Pause. Pump your brakes. Stop. It's not real. That's right before, I'm going a little out of order, but that's right before he has this little, date night with, Ferrania, and they do like this whole little video thing. It's so cute. It's so, every time I see him, I'm like, oh my God, y'all are so cute. Anyway, so then he actually gets taken away and he goes to jail, and then he confesses. He's just like, listen, I've been faking. I've been whatever. It's not true. And this is when Jay McAvoy comes in, and he's just like, well, you just confessed. Either way, he's like in a rock and a hard place, because it's like, you just confessed to doing all this stuff. So, but then he actually does walk on water, because, then he believes. And I love this part because, well, I love what he says after this, because his belief turned into knowing, which was great, it was just, I don't know, it was full circle. It was full circle. And they do show him like carrying the cross and getting whipped. And this part was pissing me off, because why you still whipping him? Like, why you still whipping him? I was getting so mad. Anyway, then you see like everybody supporting him. And I thought this was really cool, because you still got to see, because now you're invested in Clarence, and you still had that emotional tug of this person being crucified, and knowing that Jesus is telling his disciples, because they like, yo, why we staying here? Why we ain't running? He's like, nah, because Judas is going to do his thing, and then they're going to come and get me. And then 3 days from now, I'm gonna be back. So it's good. This is what's happening. So you still get that connection of, dang, this is what's going to happen to Jesus. And it's still like, because really for anybody. And then there's like a funny part with Benedict Cumberbatch, which, child, what is this character's name for real? One of the Jesuses, one of the Jesuses. Okay. So anyway, Jesus heals him and touches him and whatever. And he is just like, now he has money. So he goes to the salon and like, yo, hook me up. This is the funny part, because he gets hooked up and he looks like Syrian, whatever, the fake Jesus that America has come to know, the white Jesus that America has come to know. And that's not even really what he looks like for real. That's somebody's son. I forget his name. I used to know, but it's with a C. Anyway, so that's what he looks like, and he looks good, and everybody's like, oh my God, he looks so pure. So that's where you be like, oh, this is where they get the image of thing, because they catch him too. They catch him and kill him too, because they're like, oh, he's a Messiah too. That part was really cute. Anyway, he dies. Clarence dies. Jesus comes and revives him. And then he has another bright idea. What bright idea does he have, y'all? We don't know. But the thing is, that's okay, because he's a believer. So who knows? But it was a lovely ending. Because, I'm about happy endings. I cannot. So that's probably what put it over the top for a 10 for me. I probably was going to give it an 8 or a 9, but for the simple fact that, the ending was right. And another thing that I really, really enjoyed was the loyalty and the love, and it just showed so much. And I just really enjoyed it. So that's why I got a 10 out of 10. Feel free to leave your comments and, what you thought about it. What rating did you give it? Again, 10 out of 10 for me. I'll be doing some other reviews and stuff like that. But please come back, subscribe, go to the website. I'm on YouTube, play that. I'm like everywhere. But if you've enjoyed this review, please come back, and remember to live light and stress well.